Well, hello everybody. Jim Waszak here with a good friend of mine, Eric Lundstrom.
Morning, Jim.
Good morning. Eric is with Focus Capital Advisors. They are a M&A, which is mergers and acquisitions firm. And basically they help people buy or sell companies. Can you enlighten us a little further, Eric, and what's the function of an M&A professional?
Well, Focus Capital Advisors works closely with business owners when they come to that decision that it's time to think about selling their business. It's one of the biggest decisions they're going to make in their financial life, anyway. And so our firm helps them determine whether it's the right time to sell the business. Is the business in good shape to be sold? And what are the tax impacts of making that transaction? What expectation of sale price could look like? And helping with the overall who's the right buyer to really see the value of that business. So that's how we help somebody that's looking to sell their company.
Sure. Well, and I think a lot of people who have businesses are obviously very capable. They've built a successful business. But I think when it comes to selling it, there's an awful lot of complexity that's involved. What are some of the ways that you work with people, or some of the issues they have to deal with to net the most money possible out of the transaction?
Well, I think the first thing is to get good professional help so that you keep your eye on the ball of running the business. Businesses are successful based on the hard work every day, and as soon as you get distracted by a sale transaction and trying to manage that yourself, that can be difficult. I think the other thing is you need an independent view to come in and look for the hidden value and anything a buyer might see that they wouldn't like about the business. And that's an important role that we play. We help by going in with an independent look and ask questions about inventory turns and the quality of the shop and the type of customers they're handling. All of those things go into getting the business through due diligence to be sold. And before you want to disclose and get the process started, you really want somebody to give you a candid viewpoint of the problems that might exist to getting the business sold. And those can be customer concentration, those can be deferred maintenance, and there are a lot of income tax aspects. The impact of income taxes is huge on the sale of business. So putting that structure all together correctly before the process starts is a key to getting a successful transaction done.
So depending on how you structure the transaction, an owner could theoretically sell a business for the same price, yet net different amounts of money if they haven't structured it properly.
Very, very, very differently. Sadly, a lot of people in our business are good matchmakers, but I have 40 years as a CPA.
40 years?
Yeah,
wow.
A long time. And the tax knowledge that I've gained over those years to make sure the transaction gets structured in the right way is critically important, because it really isn't the top line number that you're selling for that's important. It's the bottom line number that you get in your pocket.
Sure.
And that's where we really focus.
Yes.
And that starts with making sure you understand the tax aspects, and then you get into finding the buyer that really sees the value.
Can you give us an example of a recent transaction? I know you can't reveal too much specifics, but just in general, how you're able to put it together and how that benefited the sellers to the maximum.
Well, we did have a transaction recently. It was a family business. Family members had all inherited from mom and dad. Several were not involved in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Several were involved in the business. And we had to come up with a structure that allowed them to sell it and properly reward the family members that were working in the business with more of the sales proceeds than the family members that were not.
Mm-hmm.
And we found a tax structure and created it that allowed them to do that. And it made it possible for the business to get sold so that all the family members voted for the transaction.
Okay, yeah.
Very, very important.
Super. So now you also will sometimes work with buyers who are looking to acquire, whether, for themselves or growth or whatever. Tell us a little bit about the buy side when you work with people.
Well, it's somewhat similar, as you might imagine. But I can say first off, it's hard to find good talent. It's hard to grow organically,
mm-hmm.
as you know, both of us being in the sales world. And therefore, oftentimes, buying a book of business, buying a company that has talent that you need, or is in different markets to diversify your company,
mm-hmm.
is a very effective way to grow the value of your company. Right now, interest rates are still very low. It's an excellent time to be in the market. Although it's a seller's market, the buyers can afford to pay up to get the right company because of the impact it has
mm-hmm.
on their
mm-hmm.
overall business.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard to grow value day to day, but making an acquisition can grow value and accomplish all those things in one transaction. Our specialty is doing the research to find those candidates that aren't on the market right now and help a buyer put a transaction together.
And I'm sure if you find somebody who's not officially on the market, you can usually get a better deal for the buyer because they're basically the only bidder to a certain extent.
I think that's very true. So that's good advice for a seller, and it's even better advice for a buyer. Finding a company that isn't on the market usually nets you a better price
mm-hmm.
because they're dealing exclusively with you. And a seller, on the other hand, that isn't going through a competitive process to create an auction using a professional like
mm-hmm.
us is generally not going to get the full value out of their business.
Sure. And, I think it's important to bear in mind what is actually being bought and sold, because different buyers will buy things for different reasons. They may just want entry into a marketplace. They may want a technology. They may want the staff. Or they may just be a cash flow buyer, just wants another investment. So one of the things Eric can help you with is how to identify what those real selling points are.
Absolutely.
So I would encourage all of you to talk to Eric if you have a business or are looking to acquire a business. I think we've all bought and sold a lot of things in our life, but when it comes to selling a business, it's really a new level of complexity. And talking to Eric, even if you're not maybe ready today, it might not be a bad idea to have a conversation anyway. If they want to have that conversation, Eric, what's the best way for them to contact you?
I always love to talk to business owners, no obligation, share my knowledge and experience. You can reach me directly at 630-795-1495 or go to our website, www.fcateam.com, and reach out to us. Love to have a conversation.
Terrific. Well, thank you, Eric.
Thank you,
It's been a
Jim.
pleasure talking with you, and thank you, viewers.